Hi everybody, my name is Goran. I'm a co-founder and a head of product for Rundit, and I'm going to introduce you a new feature that we just released, which is multi-currency investing. So let's go. Before I go and demonstrate new features, I would like to give you a little bit of background. Before this new release in Rundit platform, you could store all your investments, but your investments were stored in your fund's main currency, which means if your fund's currency was dollars, all your investments would automatically be in dollars. And then if it was in euros, all your investments would be in euros. Which also means that if you had an investment that happened in a different currency, you would have to manually convert that amount and store in Rundit platform in the equivalent in your fund's main currency. What we allow now is that you can actually store in Rundit platform investments in any currency of your choice, which means that if you have a fund that is US based fund and then your fund main currency and reporting currency is dollars, but you also have overseas investments into UK based companies or European companies, so you might actually invest in pounds or in euros, you can actually store those original investments in euros and pounds and then track the returns in dollars, but also you can track the returns in pounds, so you can compare how the currency fluctuation affects your returns. So for example, here I have a lot of companies, and then if I open this company K, you could see that investment happened in March 2020 and it was in pounds. And also there was like another follow-up round or another investment round that happened in January 2021, which raised the price per share to 15 pounds. So I can see here returns and my fair value in pounds. You can see here the pound symbol, the code, and then if I want to change into dollars to see if I would exit this company and I would actually convert that to dollars, I can see how that affects my returns. So for example, pay attention to this number, like for example, multiple 1.37 in pounds, but if I actually convert it to dollars, my multiple is a little bit higher, which means that the timing of my investment was really good when it comes to FX rates. So I invested in one at like a year ago, and the FX rates, what compared to now, was actually in favor for me and for my returns. You can easily control FX rates that are used in Rundit platform. We spend quite a lot of time to understand different habits in reporting these currency fluctuations. So if you go to setup and currency, you can actually have very extensive setup of which FX rates Rundit would use in which context. So basically for invested amounts, we always lock down the exchange rates to the time of the investment, which means if investment happened 3 years ago, it will always use the exchange rate of that time, a specific date of the investment. But when it comes to fair value, we can use different rules. So we can use either the time of investment, which will make it exactly the same exchange rate as we used for the invested amount. So means that the invested amount and the fair value of that investment will use the exact same exchange rate. Or we can use the time of the latest transaction in the company, which means that there are some funds like to update FX rates when they invest again. So they don't update it with the last FX rate available, they update it with the FX rates from the time of the last transaction. So it's also available in Rundit that you can use that setup. But also you can use that the Rundit would actually update the fair values based on the latest exchange rates always. In this case, in Rundit's case, it will use the last day of the previous month. So we will take the for example, now it's like 3rd of February. So if the setup in Rundit platform is to use the latest exchange rate, it will actually use the exchange rate from 31st of January this year and update all your fair value calculations based on that exchange rate. And then you can also set it up to use that same logic in the dashboard. So for example, in dashboard here, you can see on the entire portfolio level how this cross-currency investment scheme is affecting your returns. So for example, now I'm showing all the returns in dollars, but if I would actually change it to pounds, you could see that the numbers are getting updated, and then I can see that, for example, my IRR in pounds is much worse than in dollars, and I can here quite easily select companies that I invested in pounds, and then I can see how much I'm affected by the FX fluctuations. I hope you like this feature. Thank you, and I hope you use Rundit in the future.